Seen any fish yet?
Nah, not yet.
You know, you look at the history of South Dakota fishing opportunities. You know, one thing that's really fascinating me about the Black Hills where we're at today is that trout were never native to the Black Hills, but now when I think of the Black Hills, I just think of some great trout fishing opportunities, whether you're stream fishing, fishing up on some of these, you know, mountain reservoirs, so to speak. But, you know, I read an interesting book one time where it talked about some of the earliest fish hatcheries and some of the earliest fish stockings in the United States and also in South Dakota in particular. You used to actually take cream cans and put them on rail and ship them across the country and stock some of these lakes, and these trout have been providing fantastic opportunities ever since. This is trout country, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's a fun species to go after. I mean, they have a lot of fight in them, and they vary, and you know, you can catch small ones that'll fight just as big as their big brothers, you know, and they're fun fish to catch.
Yeah, and you know, what's striking about all this is you're in a beautiful place and you're catching beautiful fish. My friend Craig Oyler and I are going to showcase some of these great trout fishing opportunities on today's show.
Trout fishing in the reservoirs around the Black Hills this time of year is not overly complicated. The fish are roaming the shallows, and all that is required to catch them is a quiet electric auger, flasher, small jigs and spoons, and your favorite panfish rod spooled with light, low visibility line.
Oh, every fish has got horsepower.
Got one, Jason?
Oh yeah, look at that. It's beautiful color on them. And they are so slippery. Look at that. Look at just the purples on that fish. Don't you just love how gorgeous these fish are? Pretty fish.
They're just a gorgeous. Those rainbows have beautiful color to them.
Yeah, and they do. They all fight. You know, if a person loved to eat fish, loved to eat trout, especially in the wintertime, that is about as good as it gets right there. Gorgeous fish. Oh, another one came through. They're just coming through all over. You never know where they're going to come through. I'm just working up and down through the water column, all wrapped up in my transducer here. Don't have that heavy a line on either for this. There we go. Boy, and they are slippery. Nice fish. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Look at that, just the purples and the green. That's why they call them rainbow trout, huh? Wow. Little guy.
This might be a better one here.
Good fish?
Not a big one, but just beautiful rainbow trout.
Oh, it's amazing how delicate the strikes are, but once you lay into them, they just go berserk. There. Another nice trout. And they are slippery. Slippery. Yeah. Get her in the water right away. I'm just packing up this little epoxy jig with just a lot of red spikes. You know, so warm in the balmy Black Hills that my spikes are actually crawling right out of my clam puck. Oh, fish just barely touched it. Oh yeah, look at there.
That's what we're looking for, Jason.
Yeah, isn't that a beauty? Just gorgeous, gorgeous colors. Yeah, look at
This
that.
fish.
That is just a gorgeous fish, isn't it? Show her off. Look at that in the sunlight like that. Isn't that just beautiful?
Another successful release.
Yeah, you know, that fish came right underneath the ice. I mean, I was right below the transducer. I could just barely get my jig on the Vexillar, and yeah, or 8 feet of water here. But you know, these fish can be anywhere.
They can,
You know, anywhere in the water column, anywhere in the.
I was fishing towards the bottom and I started noticing more marks coming through, you know, a foot, 2 foot below the ice. So starting to spend a little more time jigging in that area now.
Is your technique more or less just working it up and down through the water column just to kind of see where they come through?
A lot of times with the trout, I'll do a rapid jig, a couple rapid jigs. You know, if the trout are a real opportunistic feeder, so you know they're always cruising around looking for something to eat. And so if they see that, you know, if I'm ripping it like that, then they'll come through about the same plane, and that's where I steady my jigging down. And if I see more than 1 or 2 at the same depth, then that's where I focus most of my time.
Are you finding that these trout on these lakes are pretty much always moving? I mean, they seem to be just moving like sharks. They're just in and out.
Yeah, you know, I tend to stick to shorelines. I won't go out in the middle of the basin or anything like that. I'll stick to shorelines where the food is, but there could be, this is a good spot today, but tomorrow there might not be a fish here. So they just cruising all the time.
Always moving.
Yep.
That tail is always flicking.
Yep, that's right.
All right.
Well, let's
I
get
love
another
the
one.
colors on that fish. You know, the fact that these fish can be anywhere in the water column, you know, using a Vexillar has definitely helped us catch a lot more fish today. And you know, we've been anywhere from 2 feet under the ice all the way out to 7, 8 feet. But even in the shallowest holes, we've been able to mark fish. And basically what I've been doing is I'm just sliding this transducer up as high as I can just to get that cone angle as large as possible and trying to center it right in the middle of the hole. Now, what's really cool about these trout that I enjoy about them is they come in like a missile. I mean, they just come shooting in. And a lot of times it's almost like they just keep shooting back and forth. And sometimes if you actually watch these fish, they'll come in and actually flick the bait with their tails if they miss the bait. And so you'll see these fish darting in and out, and just hold your ground and just keep jigging, because chances are they're just circling around for another attack. But they're just like sharks down there. What do you got there?
Looks like another 10, 12-inch rainbow. Not a bad little fish.
I can hear your drag going.
Boy, such a strong fish. They've got a lot of solid muscle. I think it's from swimming around all day looking for food. I really enjoy catching these fish. You know, this isn't a trophy by any means, but you can see they're just so strong and they fight so well. Just a fun fish to catch.
Craig, what are your good colors out here?
You know, I've found orange is by far the best color to use. You know, these trout, they eat a lot of their own eggs. And you know, right now there's no trout spawning, but they still relate to that spawn colored bait. So, you know, orange is my go-to color.
You know, and the other thing that's interesting about trout, Craig, is, you know, they've got such an amazing sense of smell. And it seems like wherever you go, you know, especially fishing, you know, stock trout on lakes, you can't go wrong by trying to stimulate that sense of smell. And that's why, you know, using spikes or soft plastics that have been soaked in scent, yeah, that sense of smell is pretty important for them, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah, it is. You know, I use my epoxy drop. I'm always tipping it with like a red maggot. Some of the guys around here will even use corn to attract the fish in. But my go-to 100% of the time is the orange epoxy drop with just tipped with 2 or 3 spikes.
Fish, Craig?
Tough to tell. It's got a lot of good fight, that's for sure.
Yeah, that drag is a humming.
Not a bad one. This
Nice
is so
work.
crazy. When trout fishing, an important thing to consider is mobility. With my auger conversion kit from Clam, I'm able to stay really mobile, stay on top of those schools of trout. I can go in shallow and drill holes quietly, and I can go out deep and I'm carrying my auger, my Vexilar, and my rod all at one time. It's super lightweight and really easy. And when you can drill a lot of holes, you're gonna stay on top of those fish. The auger conversion kit from Clam is a must-have for any mobile ice angler.
Oh, there. Whoa, look at that. Look at that little rod buck. I better get my transducer out of the hole for this fish here. You just don't tell them what to do. You know, I'm just using 4-pound test. These fish are battlers. A lot can go wrong with a fish this strong and this light of line. Come on. I haven't been able to get a good look at it yet. Oh yeah, here it comes. There. There, you know, these fish come in and a lot of times, you know, they just bite so light. I mean, that rod tip just barely bounces, but boy, once these fish know their hook, they put on the jets. There. Cool. And you know, I just touched on earlier, and that fish was duking it out with me. 4-pound test, and we're just using just a little horizontal jig. That's just an epoxy drop from Clam Tackle, but just a tiny little jig jammed up with a lot of red maggots, and that's been the ticket. You know, we've seen a lot of trends and a lot of innovations actually come out of Europe over the last couple years in regards to ice fishing. And you know, over in Europe, they've been using tungsten, and they've also been using Swarovski crystals on their jigs for a long time. And now with the new lineup of Clam Tackle, specifically the epoxy jig, they're using these crystals. The neat thing about these crystals is it's just like a disco ball down there, and it's easy for the fish to see. You put these down, either sight fish or put an underwater camera down, they just sparkle. And there's no doubt in my mind that these attract fish. And it's just a way for the fish to find your bait. But you know, obviously profile and vibration, water displacement, color, those are all things that help. But at the end of the day, if you have any type of sunlight at all, don't hesitate to use a jig with a crystal on it, because these fish are going to be able to find you.
You know, out here in the Black Hills, we've got deep reservoirs. A lot of our lakes will reach up to about 100 foot of water. And what I do is I take the chain off of the speed spoon and I put it on the bomb spoon. You know, it's it's just got a quick clip on there, so you can take it off and snap it right onto that bomb spoon. And the theory behind this is, you know, that speed spoon is a great tool for fishing deep water, but when it's fallen, it'll go out of your Vexilar's cone angle. And we have a lot of suspended fish here, so I want to be able to stop before I get down to that school of fish and slow it down to them. And with the bomb spoon, it's falling straight down. And you know, those perch especially, it might be a little intimidated to bite that bomb spoon with the big treble hook. So when you have a dropper chain like that on there, it's a small presentation, but it's still heavy, falls fast, and gets you right where you want to be to catch those fish.
From our base camp in Devil's Lake, North Dakota, we travel the whole Midwest looking for the best fishing bites. If you like real-time fish reports, find out what bodies of water that we're fishing just to find the general patterns and techniques that we're using, give us a like on Facebook and hit the road with Jason Mitchell Outdoors.
Yeah, that is a rotten trick there. Ooh, this feels like a better one. Wrapped up in my transducer already. Not a bad little rainbow. So one thing, if you notice, there are different colors on these fish. They stock a lot of different species in here, and I'm sure you'll be able to see on film there that all these trout, every one of them is a little unique. You know, we have a lot of different species of fish in here. Kind of makes it cool. Another nice fish. A lot of times when you're looking for rainbow trout, I tend to hug the shorelines, you know, and work my way out into the deeper stuff. I try not to fish too deep of water just because they're a lot more random when you're out there. You'll still catch fish, but it just won't be as consistent. And at least when you're in shoreline, or you know, in the, you know, anywhere from 4 to 15 foot range, those trout will cruise that shoreline, and they're, you know, looking for food. They're a real opportunistic feeder. So anything that coming in off the weeds underneath, they'll go after. So, you know, if you're, a good place to start for looking for trout would be a shoreline anyway. And inside corners or points are great places to start looking for them anyway. Here's a decent one, Jason.
Oh yeah. Need some help there?
Oh, not a bad rainbow at all.
No, not at all.
You know, this one's even different than the last one I just caught. And you know, they have several, I think it's 5 different subspecies of the rainbow trout in this lake. And reason being is they, you know, they're trying to figure out the perfect one, since the Black Hills is such a tourist driven area. They're trying to get fish that are a little hardier, that'll, you know, last being caught a couple times and still survive. And then they want some that are faster growing and some that fight better. So, you know, there's just all different kinds of subspecies of the rainbow. Now, this one's a little duller in color, but still fights just as good. Oh, no, he's not gone. Oh, that's bad.
There's a lot of them that'll hit it multiple times if you miss them, won't they?
Yeah, they're not afraid to come back and bite again.
Oh, here's another one. Okay, you see, these fish are, especially on this light line, these fish are just battlers. Oh, look at there. Go, oh, gorgeous fish. Look at this. Yeah, just look at this. Just covered with spots. More spots than a cheetah. Pretty impressive, Craig. We've caught a lot of fish today. Yeah, and these lakes are just full of trout. Just full of them.
Nice fish, Jason.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for bringing us out here.
My pleasure.
You know, this is impressive. I mean, you know, there's just so many great trout fishing opportunities in this area, isn't there?
Well, you know, every lake in the Black Hills has trout in them, and what's really cool is each one has their own unique opportunity. You know, we have Center Lake over in Custer State Park, is the only place with tiger trout. And you have Pactola Lake, which is the only lake with lake trout in it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, here it has brook trout and big brook trout too, the potential for them. We unfortunately didn't get into any of the big ones, but you know, just each lake has its own unique opportunity.
Yeah, and you know, there must be so many trout out here.
A lot of fish.
I mean, we've marked a lot of fish today. It almost felt like pan fishing at times.
Yeah, you know, they act like panfish too. You know, if you hook one, others will come in and see what's going on, and if you're quick about it, you can catch more than one at a time.
Absolutely. No, it's I've said it earlier in the show, but beautiful place and beautiful fish. Thanks
Yes,
again,
sir.
buddy.
You bet.
Jason Mitchell Outdoors has been brought to you by Shields, Crestliner Boats, Clam, Vexilar, Ice Armor, Salmo, Cooper Chevrolet, and Jason Mitchell Elite Series rods. Closed captioning provided by Woodland Resort.
To find out more information on Jason Mitchell Outdoors, make their official webpage one of your favorite pages. Find out upcoming show schedules and air times, along with past shows, article and product reviews at jasonmitchelloutdoors.com. Great information on the outdoors is just one click away.